It's easy to look at Dark Souls 2 and see only the black sheep of the family. It's the middle game in the trilogy, and each are renowned for the intricate world building, cryptic storytelling, and punishing difficulty. And yet, Dark Souls 2 could never live up to the example set by its brothers. You would make a fair assessment if you state that the interconnection of the world map is not executed as well as it was in Dark Souls 1, or maybe that the game feels a lot clunkier than it does in Dark Souls 3. Despite this, I feel like Dark Souls 2 did one thing better than its more widely accepted counterparts. One thing sets Dark Souls 2 apart for the better, and it's not what you might think. Let's start at the very beginning. All Dark Souls games are connected by the Undead Curse. In Dark Souls 1, we uncover the story of Gwyn, a ruler in ancient times. His era is known as the Age of Fire. The changing of the season is only natural, however, and one day, the fire of the first flame starts fading. This meant that time in the coveted Age of Fire was running out, slowly making place for an Age of Dark. Gwyn, attempting to best fate, sought unnatural ways to prolong the Age of Fire, and used his own soul as kindling for the first flame, like a Florida man at the local cookout. But fate would not be bested so easily. Having created an unnatural world state, Gwyn inadvertently gives rise to the Undead Curse. Those afflicted with the Undead Curse are branded by the dark sign. Rather than dying upon death, bearers of the curse are resurrected at nearby bonfires. Each death will result in a slight loss of their soul. This process is called hollowing, gradually hollowing out individuals until they are deprived of their soul, the only thing that makes them human. Once hollowing has been completed, a hollow can never be human again. This is a fate worse than death. Hollowing is a progressive affliction, and humans suffering from it slowly lose their intelligence, memories, and more importantly, themselves. Out of all games, Dark Souls 2 explores the loss of self as a theme the most. The game takes place in the decaying kingdom of Drangleic. At its core, the reason for undeads traveling to this land is to find a cure for the curse, but their affliction runs deep, and soon they'll forget why they've come here and who they were before they came. The bearer of the curse is not free of this fate either. In a desperate attempt to shed the curse, they set off for Drangleic. The Firekeepers are the gateway to Drangleic, and they've seen this exact story play out a multitude of times. The Firekeepers give the bearer of the curse a human effigy, the only thing that keeps an afflicted human. And dying in the game also holds deep consequences. Upon dying, you will lose your spark, your health, your very self. Kinda like holding a corporate job in your 20s. Traveling through Drangleic will reveal a glorious past, overtaken by an ailing future. Everyone that comes here forgets why. Desolation, desperation, and hopelessness is the theme of everyday life. None of these stories, however, are more tragic than the tale of Lucatiel of Mira. When we first encounter her, we see a masked warrior who is not interested in fraternity. If we continue to engage, she will soften up, and she tells us bits and pieces of her story.
They say Drangleic brims with powerful souls, and so I came to claim my share. If you require assistance, I will help you. Whatever happens, I won't be missed.
We can sense a desperation that is unbecoming of a warrior of her stature. What could possibly be behind her mask? She has nothing to offer us, except her sword, which goes about as well as one might expect of Dark Souls 2. Do something! When we encounter her later, she will share a human effigy, stating that she has no use for it. Paradoxically, she will then confide in us.
Have you heard of the undead? These poor souls affected by the curse. An undead gradually loses his humanity until his wits degrade completely. One can skirt this wicked fate only with the help of the souls found here. Assuming, of course, that the legends are true. I can only hope that they are.
She is one of us, unafflicted of the curse. We shared a battlefield once, and now we share the fate of impending doom. But this is not stopping us from doing what we can with the time we have left, and we step into battle once more. Help me! Much later in the game, we encounter her again, and she is worse for wear.
My memories are fading, oldest first. The curse is doing its work upon me. I am frightened, terribly so. If everything should fade, be left of me.
At this point, we're left to realize we're not witnessing the rise of a great hero, but rather the slow descent.
I had an older brother, We learned to fence together. But I never meet him. Not once. Soon I may forget even about him.
When we encounter her a fourth time, she is a shell of the woman we've met earlier.
Oh. You. Loss frightens me no end. Loss of memory, loss of self. Sometimes I feel obsessed with this insignificant thing called self. Even so, I am compelled to preserve it. I don't want to die. I want to exist. Maybe we're all cursed. From the moment we're born.
She goes from a confident warrior to a scared human that is nearing the end of the line. Near the end of the game, she can be encountered at Aldia's keep.
Who are you? Oh. No, forgive me. I know you. Yes, of course.
The last thing she does in life is beg for a favor.
My name is Lucatio. I beg of you remember my name, for I may not myself.
This is the last we see of Lucatiel. In a world full of tragic characters, none is more tragic than Lucatiel of Mira. This story is compelling. It's an invitation into philosophy, a philosophy that invites us to ponder. Who are we when we forget ourselves? What is left of you if the pieces that made you you are slowly being stripped away from you? Like all things, we too will fade away at one point. Knowing that is a blessing and a curse. So basically Dark Souls 2 is the best because you can power wheel 2 great swords and adjust your outfit. Hey, thanks for watching. If you made it to the end, I just know you're going to like my Dark Souls Story Explained trilogy. Also subscribe before the Undead Curse makes me forget about my channel and I'll never upload again.